joint pain, muscular discomfort, entirely up to you. If you need to have a little stop and stretch, stop and stretch, stop and rest. If you can keep it going for as long as you can. Use your props, the ball if you've got one, a cushion or a little rolled up towel to make some, create some resistance as we work, especially with the legs. And then a band if I've got one, or a strap, a belt, anything that I can use to tie the legs to create a little resistance, or use it to assist me move the legs. So if I'm seated, trying to find that upright position, trying to create as much space at the front of the body as you can, making sure that I'm not slouching and compressing. As that slouch position, it will create pressure into the diaphragm, the big breathing muscle inside the rib cage, and it won't allow the diaphragm to move as it should be moving. So we'll tend to go into apical breath, so breathe into the top of the chest, which is still good as I'm still breathing, but it's not good for my nervous system, as that will tend to send me into fight and flight mode. So it's kind of like it's a stressing breath. It's, you know, something that is getting me ready to run from the tiger. Instead, I just want to have a nice rest, relax and de-stress. So see if you can try and give yourself a space to allow the diaphragm to descend down towards the belly. So creating that nice relaxed belly breath. So a little bit calming, a little bit more relaxed. If you're laying down, just taking advantage of the mat, just laying down flat against the floor, allowing the floor to take the weight, and then see if I can focus on that nice raise and unfolding of the belly with the breath. So see if I can try and focus on that nice relaxed belly breath as I'm trying to take the breath down into the abdomen, softening the front of the chest, relaxing the front of the throat, the collarbones, the front of the shoulders. And then running a quick scan over the body. So if I'm seated, am I sitting straight? Am I slightly leaning? Am I slightly twisting? Is the pressure under my seat bones the same, or do I feel more pressure on the right and the left side? Is my head centered? Is it slightly to one side? Is it slightly turned? If you're lying down, is the pressure between the right and the left shoulder the same? The right and the left hip? How about the position of the legs and the position of the arms? Are they the same? Are they slightly different? I'm not trying to change anything, just noticing where everything is and how I feel to begin with. As I start feeling a little bit more relaxed, as I feel the breath is a little bit calmer, a little bit easier, then I'm going to start focusing on the shoulder girdle. See if I can get some movement going into the shoulder girdle. I'm going to start shrugging the shoulders up to the head. I'm elevating the shoulders, and then I'm going to depress them. I'm going to slide them away. So I'm going to shrug them towards the head, and then I'm going to depress them, press them away. So see if you can notice the difference. As I shrug them up, I can feel all of the neck and the shoulders tensing. As I depress, as I press them down, I can feel the neck lengthening and the shoulders dropping and relax. As I shrug, I can feel the tension. And then as I depress, I can feel that tension going away. The neck reaching a little bit longer, and the shoulders dropping a little bit further away from the head. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And easing back, adjusting the shoulders from elevation, depression. I'm going to go into protraction, retraction. So this time I'm going to pull the shoulders forward. So imagine to be able to touch the shoulders in front of the chest. So I'm going to pull the shoulders forward and then retract. I'm going to squeeze them together at the back. So I'm going to pull them forward, protract, and then back, retract, forward and back. So if I'm seated, I've got quite a good space. There's nothing behind me. I can really get the shoulder girdle moving. If I'm laying down, obviously I'm lying down on the back, it's a little bit more restrictive, but I can still get some movement. I can still lift the shoulders and then press them into the floor, lift them away, and then press them into the floor. 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing back. Again, adjusting the shoulders, and then this time I'm going to roll the shoulders. So one shoulder at a time, I'm going to roll back one and the other, one and the other, one and the other. So again, if I'm lying down, the movement is a little bit restricted as I can't go very far. If I'm seated, I've got space. So see if you can use the space. Imagine a tennis ball between the shoulder blades. See if you can think of rolling the tennis ball between the shoulder blades, trying to encourage movement, not just in the shoulder girdle, but also into the upper back. So as much movement as I can, rolling back the right, taking back the left, rolling back one, taking back the other. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, relaxing the shoulders again, adjusting the shoulders, adjusting the back. So a little bit more movement through the shoulder girdle and the upper back. What I want is to focus on the shoulder joint this time. I'm going to work one arm at a time, starting off with a front raise. So I'm going to pick up the right arm, I'm going to raise it up to the front, I'm going to go as far up, as far back as I can, then easing that arm down, and then with the left, I'm going to do the same. So from one to the other side. Again, laying down, the movement is easier as I'm working with gravity, so the arm feels reasonably light to move. Make sure that you're taking it just as far back as the shoulder is happy going, nothing is catching, nothing is creating pain or pinching into the shoulder, into the arm, into the neck. If I'm seated, I'm lifting against the gravity, so the arm feels a lot heavier and the shoulder will tend to fatigue a lot quicker. So keeping the movement small or making the movement big, it doesn't matter, just make sure that you're not forcing. So as the arm comes up, remember the shoulder shrug, the elevation into the shoulder, can I avoid that? So can I make sure that my shoulder stays down? The neck stays long and free to move. So there is no tension coming up the side of the neck, into the jaw, or into the face. And then as I'm moving one arm at a time, I know that my left shoulder is a little bit sore today, so I'm going to make the movement smaller on the left and as big as I want on the right, or vice versa. My right feels stiffer, so the movement will be slightly smaller on the right, and then as big as I can get it on the left. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll. It's a little bit more movement into the shoulder joint. I'm going to change the direction. From a front raise, I'm going to go into a lateral raise. So one arm at a time, I'm going to scoop the right arm round the side and towards the head. I'm going to take it back, and then with the left, I'm going to do the same, and then back. And then whether I'm seated or laying down, it doesn't matter if I can't take the arm directly up to the side. I feel my shoulder feels painful, it doesn't feel right. I'm just going to make the movement a little bit shallower. So I'm going to take the arm slightly forward and round. So slightly smaller movement to make sure that the shoulder is happy going there. I'm not forcing anything. If I'm laying down, exactly the same. I can't keep the arm close to the floor as I feel my shoulder. It's painful if I do so. So I'm going to find a movement, find a range, That allows me to swing the arm, but without any pain in the shoulder. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the arm. A little bit more movement into the shoulder. I'm going to vary the movement. What I want is to try and vary the direction of the movement as much as I can. So, whether you're lying down or seated, I'm going to stick the right arm straight in front of me. And then I'm going to start drawing a little figure of 8. So I'm just going to draw an 8 in front of me. I'm going to progressively see if I can make the 8 a little bit bigger. So if I'm, again, laying down, I'm a little bit restricted as I'm laying down on the back, but I can still make the movement bigger. So I can still make my shoulders roll a little bit to reach further into the 8 shape. If I'm seated, I've got plenty of room. Nothing is preventing me, blocking my movement, so I can make the movement really as big as I want. So I can make that 8 as wide, as high as I possibly can. And then same as usual, you might find that as you're going through that 8 shape, the shoulder tends to click. If that happens, as you're getting close to the point where the shoulder clicks, then slow down. If you can play with the position, with the orientation of your hand, and then see if you can find a better fitting between the top of the arm and the shoulder socket that will help avoiding that clicking noise, that grinding, that pinching as you're going around. 3, 2, 1. And releasing down, relaxing the shoulder, relaxing the arm. And then I'm going to try the same thing with the left side. So I'm going to start drawing a little 8 in front of me. And then gradually see if I can make it bigger and bigger and bigger. It's a little rolling from shoulder to shoulder if I'm laying down. A nice big reach around if I'm seated up. So keeping it low, but making it wide, taking it high. If the shoulder is happy going there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the arms. It's a little bit more movement into the shoulder joint as well. I'm going to see if I can start encouraging a little bit more into the thoracic spine. So I'm going to bring both hands to the front this time. I'm going to clasp my hands together, and then I'm going to interlock the last 3 fingers, reach the index across the thumbs. So imagine, I don't know, to be pointing a gun, that kind of shape. Now imagine to have pencils instead of fingers. I'm going to draw that 8 shape, but this time instead of drawing the 8 upright, I'm going to draw the 8 on each side, so the infinity sign that way. So I'm going to start drawing it around from one, around the other, from one, around the other side. So especially if you're seated, as your back is free to move, imagine the figure of 8 happening as much from your arms as from your shoulders and upper back. So see if I can get into the little kind of like wave rotation, side to side. Just see if I can loosen up as much as I can into the upper back. If you're lying down, exactly the same. Just encouraging a gentle rolling from shoulder to shoulder, from side to side, just keeping the hips nice and still. So it's just the upper body that is moving. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back, adjusting the shoulders, adjusting the back, and then sticking the right arm straight in front of you. I'm going to hold it with my left hand, either above or below the elbow joint. So not on the joint, as that will lock the joint, so create pressure in the elbow, on the elbow. So above or below the elbow. And then I'm going to hug that right arm across the front of the chest. I'm going to pull it as far across as I can feel the stretch wrapping around the back of that right shoulder. So I'm going to pull it close to the body. With the right arm, I'm going to resist slightly that pull. So see if I can create just a little bit more tension, a little bit more stretch. So with the right arm, I'm trying to push out. With the left arm, I'm pulling the arm in. So I'm trying to hug it across the front of the chest. And then once that I feel that I've got a good stretch at the back of the shoulder, I'm just going to hold it steady there. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Relaxing the shoulders, sticking the left arm straight in front, holding above or below the elbow joint. I'm going to hug the arm across the front of the chest, a little resistance with the left arm until I can feel a nice stretch going around the back of that left shoulder. And then just holding it steady. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the arms, hopefully a little bit looser into the upper back. See if I can focus it down onto the lower back now. I'm going to try and work the lower back with a little pelvic tilt. So as usual, if I'm sitting on the chair, aim to move your lower back without moving your upper back. So I'm just going to tilt the pelvis back, so I'm going to roll back onto my tailbone, and then I'm going to pick myself back up, trying to come up onto the very tip of the seat bones. I'm going to tilt back and then forward again. So see if you can feel the change into the lower back. So I'm going to tilt and release the tilt, tilt and release the tilt. If you're lying down, a lot easier, as I've got the floor to guide me. As I tilt the pelvis back, I'm trying to press the lower back, flatten the lower back against the mat. And then as I release, I'm going to go back into neutral. So gentle massage down the lower back and the back of the pelvis. Noticing if the movement feels even right and left side, or maybe I feel my right side is pulling a little bit more than my left, or my left is pulling a little bit more than the right. I'm not forcing, so I'm not pushing hard. I'm just trying to relax into it as much as I can. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then lower back hopefully feels a little bit looser. I'm going to stick to the lower back, but this time, instead of moving forward and back, I'm going to try and move it side to side. I'm going to go into a little hip hitch. So I'm going to hitch my left hip up towards my left side of the ribcage. So I'm going to hitch up on the left, ease back to the center, and then I'm going to hitch up on the right. So if I'm laying down, my hips should stay flat against the floor. And just swinging gently from side to side as I'm trying to pull my right hip towards my right side of the rib cage and then my left hip towards the left side. It's almost like a little pendulum swinging side to side. If I'm seated, imagine to be walking your seat bones up and down on the chair. So I'm going to hitch up on the right hip. I'm going to try and pull my right seat bone off the chair. He's back, hitch up on the left, he's back, hitch up on the right, hitch up on the left, hitch up on the right. Just a little up and down. I can use the arms to offer a little support if I need to. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back. Easing the hips back to the middle, resetting the pelvis back to the middle. A little bit looser into the lower back. And now I'm going to start warming up into the hip joint. I'm trying to get the hip moving, the hip guide. So as usual, if I feel that I need a little support, I'm going to use the band around the leg. So I'm just going to feed the band behind the right thigh, the right knee, so that I can use my hands to help me guide that leg into the movement. As the leg, if I'm seated, the leg is a lot heavier. If I'm laying down, the leg is a lot lighter to move. And then imagine your thigh bone to be like a big pencil. So the tip of the pencil is the front of the knee. With the tip of the pencil, I'm just going to start drawing a circle on the wall in front of me. It doesn't need to be a perfect circle. It could be slightly oval. It could be slightly square, just to see if you can try and cover all the direction. The foot might stay on the ground. I might be able to lift it off. It's whatever it is. But just to see if you can imagine your thigh bone like a spoon. So my pelvis is the bowl and the thigh is the spoon. I'm trying to turn the spoon into the bowl. I'm trying to move my spoon into the bowl, keeping the bowl as steady as possible. So if I'm seated, it's easy as I'm sitting on the seat bones, so it's not easy to lift them, to move them. If I'm laying down, it's a little bit harder as the tendency is to start rocking side to side. So see if I can try and hold my bowl, see if I can try and hold my pelvis still and just move the leg into the hip socket. So using the band to help me guide the leg into that circle. Then I'm going to reverse the circle, go the other way. 10, nice and easy, nice and loose. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing down. Relaxing the leg, relaxing the hip. I'm going to try the same thing with the left side. So I'm going to feed the band, feed the strap behind the left thigh. And then using the arms to help me guide the leg, I'm going to start circling around. If I feel that I don't need the strap, I don't need the support, then I'm just going to circle the leg without any support. If I'm laying down, I'm going to pay attention to my hips, making sure that it doesn't feel as if the hips are rocking and rolling all over the mat, all over the place. If I'm seated, see if I can try and create a nice, relaxed movement, feeling the movement happening in the hip socket, in the hip joint. Reversing the circle, going the other way. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back, relaxing through the hips. Just a little bit more movement into the hip joint. I'm going to focus on a little bit more onto the shoulders and the upper body. Instead of going for a single arm front raise this time, I'm going to try and go for a double. So instead of lifting just one arm at a time, I'm going to lift both arms up, and then I'm going to reach them up, reach them back as far as I can before I ease them down. As you're lifting the arms, see if you can encourage the lift through the front of the body. So if I tend to be a bit rounded shoulder and hunched, and I lifted the arms from here, then I can't help it not to tense the neck. That's what's happening. So see if I can try and use the lift of the arms to pick myself up, or see if I can try and open up and lift to the front of the body as well as the arms. And then I'm going to ease back. Just making sure that you're not forcing the movement on the shoulder. So I'm not lifting so high that my shoulder is hurting. I'm just going to try and create space. Just imagine to create space at the front of the body, the front of the chest, the collarbones, the front of the rib cage. I'm trying to create a nice lift every time that the arms go up, every time that the arms go back. So if I'm seated, again, I've got a nice space to use for moving. If I'm laying down, again, a little bit limited for space, but I can still do some. As the arms reach back, I can push my chest forward, see if I can create that nice lift at the front of the body. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the arms. It's a little bit more space at the front, just a little bit more movement into the back and into the shoulder. I'm going to see if I can still focus on the shoulder, but working more behind the body. So if you're lying down, you will have to kind of like lean slightly out of the way to feed the arm underneath. If I'm seated, I can take the arm straight to the back. I'm going to turn my hand in, and then I'm going to reach my, left hand or right hand behind the back. I'm going to try and fold the arm around as if I was trying to bring the palm of the hand right between the shoulder blades. And then I'm just going to ease back. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. So see how far up the back I can reach when the arm goes behind. So I might only be able to reach behind the hips, that's fine. As the movement starts getting a little bit easier, I might be able to reach up a little bit higher. Just make sure that the shoulder is staying down. So I'm not reaching the shoulder, I'm trying to reach the arm behind the back. And then easing back, and then doing the same thing with the other side. Very often one side is easier than the other. With my left, I can go up very easily, no problem. With the left, with the right, I need to think a little bit more. I need to give myself a little bit more time. So I'm just going to spend a little bit longer moving the right arm, see if I can control the movement better, see if I can encourage the movement a little bit more. But again, without forcing, as I don't want to feel any pain in the shoulder, any pain in the arm. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the arms. And then from internal rotation, I'm going to go into external rotation. So setting up into dumb weight, I'm going to Bend at the elbows, and then I'm going to tuck the elbows nice and close to the side of the body. Imagine your elbows to have an extension that goes down and is planted down on the floor. So if I'm seated, my elbows are planted on the floor. If I'm laying down, my elbows are planted on the wall, opposite. I'm going to keep the elbows down. I'm going to keep them close to the side. And then I'm going to start rotating the arm. As if somebody was standing behind me, grabbing hold of my arms and twisting them out. So I don't want the arms to pull away from me. I don't want the arms to start going behind me. I just want them to turn out and then come back. So the movement could be small, it could be big, it doesn't matter. Just making sure that you're not drawing backwards with the arm, you're turning outwards with the arm. So my elbow is still planted on the floor. I'm just pivoting the arm around. If you're lying down, think of keeping the elbows close to the side. And then think of your elbows reaching down, past your hips, past your feet to the wall opposite. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the arms. Again, it's a little bit more movement into the shoulder joint. I'm going to go back into a bigger movement, but this time, again, both arms together. I'm going to go into a double lateral raise. So imagine a snow angel. I'm going to scoop the arms around the side. I'm going to swing them around the side and towards the head together. And then I'm going to swing them back and towards the hips. Round and towards the head, and then down and towards the hips. Same as you did for the single arm earlier. If I can, I'm going to keep my swing around the side. So I'm going to make it nice and high, nice and big. If I find that I can't do that, my shoulder, it's really grindy, it's not good today, then I'm just going to make it a little bit shallower. So I'm still getting that round movement, that swing movement to the side, but slightly lower. So working at the height, working with the size movement that works both for your right and for the left shoulder. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, relaxing the shoulders and the arms, and then I'm going to focus back onto the legs. See if I can do a little bit more with the hip. I'm going to place the ball or the cushion on a towel between the knees. So I've got a little bit of a resistance there. And then I'm going to shuffle the feet quite close together. So I'm going to start with the feet almost touching or touching if you want. At no point there should be pain in the knee. So if there is pain in the knee, I might adjust the position of the feet to make sure that the knee is okay with it. Then once the ball is set, I'm going to start squeezing the ball. So I'm going to squeeze the ball, whether it's a ball or a towel. Imagine a ball there, squeeze it hard enough to try and pop it. So if it was like a balloon, I'm squeezing hard enough to try and pop the balloon. So I'm going to squeeze it hard, and then I'm going to ease the tension. Squeeze it hard, and then ease the tension. And then as usual, as you're squeezing in, I can feel my inner thighs working, so I can feel the inside of my legs working. Are they working the same? Or does it feel as if my left side is really working, my right side doesn't feel the same, or vice versa? It's the same as usual. I feel that one side seems to be going, the other side, it's not a good day for it. So I'm just going to use my hand to guide it. So I'm going to tail the leg where I want it to go, using my hand to push the leg in that direction, to make the leg move in that direction. So if it's both legs that are not responding that great today, then I'm going to push with both hands and then easing back. If you're seated, you're pretty much in a safe position. So as I press, the tension should stay into the inner thighs. If you're lying down, sometimes it's tempting to squeeze it through the back. So as I press into the ball, my back starts stiffening and arching. Try not to let that happen. See if I can keep the lower back nice and soft, nice and relaxed. All the tension is on the inside of the legs. 5, 4, 3, 2, and then on the next one, I'm going to squeeze and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Release, and again, squeeze and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Release one more time. Squeeze the ball and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And easing back. Releasing the hip, relaxing the inner thigh. I'm going to stay with the inner thigh, but I'm going to change the angle of the leg slightly. Instead of keeping the feet nice and close together, I'm going to shuffle the feet out wider. So think of your feet wider than your knees, wider than your hips. So if I'm laying down and I look up, I should be able to see the heels of my feet on the outside of my hips. If I'm seated, I'm going to go slightly knocked knees. So my feet are slightly wider than my knees, are slightly wider than my hips. And then from there, I'm going to start squeezing into the ball again. So I'm going to press into the ball and then ease the pressure. I'm still working through the inner thigh, but I'm changing the angle slightly. As on the inside of the leg is quite a few adductors muscles, there's quite a few inner thigh muscles. So by changing the angle, I'm trying to target as many inner thigh muscles as possible. The same as before, I feel the movement is a little bit hard. I'm going to guide it with the hands by pushing the legs in that direction, adjusting the position. One knee feels a bit niggly. I'm going to adjust the feet. See if I can make sure that the knee feels safe so there is no pain. 5, 4, 3, 2, and then on the next one, again, I'm going to squeeze and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Release again, squeeze and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Release one more time. Squeeze and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And releasing back. Easing the tension of the ball, relaxing the hip, relaxing the inner thighs. And then I'm going to give you a little stretch. So if you're seated, I'm going to try and walk my feet out as far as I can. And then using the hands to help me, I'm just going to try and push the knees out. See if I can create a nice stretch going onto the inner thighs. If I'm lying down, easy. Easy, I'm just going to let gravity do the work. I'm going to shuffle the feet nice and close together, and then allowing the soles of the feet to come together, allowing the knees to splay out, to drop out and relax. In this position, you might find that the hip catches a little bit, so it's a bit painful to let the legs drop out. If that's the case, I'm just going to grab a hold of my towel or my ball, and then I'm just going to wedge it slightly under the thigh. So I can still keep the leg out, I can still keep the stretch, a little stretch going, but without reaching the end range that is creating that pinch and that pain in the hip. So just allowing the legs to sink, the inner thighs to relax. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And easing back, shuffling the legs all the way back, relaxing the hip, releasing the inner thigh. And then when you're ready, if you're lying down, rolling over onto your side, and in your own time, pushing yourself up into sitting. So finding a comfortable position for the legs that allows you to sit up, leaning against the wall or the sofa for balance, or using the arms to give a little support from the back. And then once you feel that you've got that position, see if we can try and create a nice lift at the front of the body. So I'm going to take a deep breath in. I'm going to push the chest forward. I'm going to lift it up. I'm going to roll the shoulders back. I'm going to drop them down. And then I'm going to start looking forward, looking up, looking back as far as I can. Then releasing and reversing, letting the chin drop, the shoulders come forward, the body rolling down. And then uncurling back up again. Opening up, lifting through the front of the body, front of the chest, looking forward, looking up, looking back. And then releasing back to the front, rounding and rolling as far as you can. Last time. Extending up, nice big lift to the front. And then easing your way back. One hand to the belly, one hand to the back. Take your bow. Give yourself